a 90-degree elbow. I have the connector for the two slotted fitting that will connect to diverter. And I've cleaned up all the edges. I'm just going to add flux and start soldering. Alright, I am adding the flux to the inside of this pipe, and this is going to smoke, but I'm adding it to the other connector in the middle. Add the pipe on there, and I think I need to leave a little bit of a gap right there to let the flux get in. Test it. No, not yet. There you go. Well, nothing like a little bit of added drama. It's always one step forward and 5 steps back when we're doing these projects. When I soldered the valves in place, I went up, I pressure tested them, and they didn't leak, and I was happy with that. When we came back down, my wife noticed that water was dripping from the light fixture above the sink, and I thought I screwed up and I might have broke a pipe. It turns out it was just from when that little blurb of water came out when I forgot to drain the hot water pipes. And that little, cup full of water dripped down. There's pipes right above here. It dripped down, came in, and was dripping out of the light fixture. I got up there with the flashlight, and I looked up in there, and we turned the water back on, and it's difficult to see where the pipes are, that one up there. But we turned the water on and we determined it was not leaking. It was just from that little bit of water. So with the power off, we're letting it all dry before I reconnect the light and everything. But it's always something. Well, you can see that it's pretty dark down here, and that's because we still have the power off for that light switch that we're trying to dry out. But another thing, I was able to get the bottom plug off the old one, and that's key because the new one, although it said it was just for the shower, it did not have that plug in there, so water would have just leaked out. So I would have had to go buy one, but luckily I was able to remove the old one. So I'm going to weld up the other pieces, screw it into the new diverter, go upstairs, test fit everything, see how long I have to cut this, then I'll come down, weld it, screw it in, and then at the very end I'll be able to solder it back into the old valves that I just put in there, the 2 new valves. Well, after lots of soldering and attaching, I have the finished framework. That's the diverter. Everything's soldered together. I'm going to go upstairs, fit it. Well, I get up here and here's what I find. This does not fit in here. So I'm going to have to, I guess if I wedged it, it might fit, but I'm going to have to notch out some of the 2x4 so that this new configuration will fit in the walls.
How do you expect her at 3?
I'm not sure if I need to do this, but I'm going to put up thin plastic sheeting stapled on this wall just to protect the insulation from getting wet. It wasn't covered before. We haven't covered any of the other walls. I just have it. It'll take 5 seconds, so I'm going to do it. And it'll probably add another type of vapor barrier or air barrier from passing through this wall. I'm ready to put up the concrete board or the Durarock, and the shower opening is just bigger than 3 feet square around. It's 37 and like 38.5 or something. So what I'm going to do is the 3x5 Durarock, I'm going to put it tight against this wall, which will leave me about an inch over here, but it will give me that ½ inch to come up to here, so that'll be good on this distance. Will be good here when I slide this other board in. That'll give us a ½ inch. I can fill that gap in with some thin set or some mesh tape, or just caulk it or use foam. I'll figure that out later. And then this last little bit, I think I'll use a strip of either 2 or 3 inch, whatever the distance is. I'll have to cut it, that hardy backer. And then for the top, I'm just going to have to cut. I have 4 pieces. That'll be 3. I'll have to cut it around and make it fit. So this will be 4 sheets of concrete board to fill this shower, which is 37, 38.5, and I forget how high it is. Well, I almost forgot to put something else on before I put the concrete board on, and that's this stuff. I forget the name. I know it was expensive. It was like 25 bucks a roll. It's so that in the transition between the Durarock and the tub, you'll put this so that if water hits it, it will run back in the tub and not back into the wall. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to attach it to the wall. I probably should use silicone, but I'm going to staple it on because I'm not worried about that point. The critical point is when it hits the board, that it runs back into the tub. So I'm going to wrap this around, hang it over the lip of the tub, and the concrete board will sit on top of it. So I want to make sure it's over this lip of the tub, and the concrete board will sit right on top of that. Well, after just getting out there and just screwing in the board to the wall, I thought I should get out the level because it didn't seem right. So I checked, and the tub is level on these 2 sides, but not on the back. It tips a little. So I'm not going to get it perfectly centered. It's going to be a little bit off the wall on this side, but it's going to be fine because the 2 boards, when they come together, if one's off a little, I'll be able to cover that joint and fill it in with caulk. So right now, I checked the top, and that's level, and it's on. It's close enough to the sides that when I put the new boards on, the joint will be able to be filled in, and it'll be watertight. So I just wanted to make sure before I started putting all the screws in that everything was fine. So I might bring up the second board, even though that's not fully attached yet, just to make sure I'm in the right area. Another thing is that I marked the stud locations on the bottom. I'll still be able to see them on the top, but I marked them along the bottom just so I know where I can add the screws. Alright, this one's level. There's about a ½ inch gap on that side. It's good over here. I can fill that in with caulk, so I'm going to set it. Actually, after looking at it some more, I'm going to have to take this down anyways. I only put 1 screw in, but I just wanted to check how it would fit. I'm going to have to take it down to get all these screws in here. And this gap, as I push it back, it's about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to try to shift this down a little further. I'd rather have it tight here and have a gap on this side, which isn't as important. This is where I want it to be really waterproof. So I'm going to take this down, set this this side at least with screws, and then try to shift this board tight to this corner. The video you just watched was just one part from a series of bathroom remodel videos we did. Click next to see the next video in the series, or you could check out my bathroom remodel playlist to see all the videos we did while remodeling the 3 bathrooms in our house. And if you found this video helpful, feel free to like the video and subscribe. Thanks.